The Ferris wheel still moved. It stood in the desert outside a ghost town in Nevada, its rusted arms creaking against the wind, gondolas swaying gently, rotating in a slow, impossible circle. No power lines connected to it, no engine roared. And yet, like some stubborn clock, it never stopped. They said you could see it turning from the highway at night, silhouetted against the stars, though the carnival it belonged to had been abandoned for 40 years. People whispered about it in bars, truck stops, and gas stations. Don't go near Silver Creek Carnival. The Ferris wheel keeps turning, and it'll never let you off. Logan knew all the stories, and he didn't believe a single one of them. He was 24, a YouTube explorer who chased urban legends with his 3 friends. Emily, Ben, and Rosa. Their channel was small but growing, and this was the kind of stunt that could blow it up. Creepy abandoned carnival, rusting rides, desert winds howling through broken tents. They'd get views. "This is it," Logan said, adjusting his camera as the group's SUV pulled onto a dirt road. The carnival rose ahead, a skeleton of lights and color long drained away. The roller coaster tracks curled into the sky like broken ribs, the ticket booths sagged, and weeds burst through cracked asphalt. And there, towering above it all, the Ferris wheel turned. "Holy shit," Emily whispered, her breath fogging the passenger window. "It's actually moving." Ben, behind the wheel, laughed nervously. "Probably the wind. It's not haunted, just rust on rust." But even Rosa, who mocked every ghost story they'd ever chased, stared silently at the turning wheel. Something about the steady rhythm was wrong. The desert air was still hot, not a breeze strong enough to push steel arms that large. Yet it rotated smoothly, deliberately, gondolas swaying like pendulums. Logan leaned out with his camera. "Tonight, guys, we ride the Ferris wheel of Silver Creek." They parked near the faded midway, stepping onto asphalt that crunched like bones underfoot. The carnival smelled faintly of dust and old oil. Signs hung crooked, cotton candy -25, funhouse of mirrors, fortune teller inside. Faded clowns with peeling paint grinned from boards nailed across broken doors. The Ferris wheel groaned. Logan filmed every step. "Urban explorers of America, welcome back. Tonight, we're at the infamous Silver Creek Carnival, abandoned since 1979 after a fire took half the grounds. Locals say the Ferris wheel's been spinning ever since. No power, no reason, just turning. Let's see what happens when we ride." Emily glanced at him, eyes wide. "You're actually serious about riding it?" "Of course," Logan said, smiling for the camera. "That's the point." They spent an hour exploring first, catching footage of shattered prize booths and the remains of a carousel. Its horses were burned and melted, frozen mid-gallop, their faces warped into grotesque expressions. The games still had prizes: stuffed bears stiff with mildew, dolls with their eyes caved in. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by the steady squeal of the Ferris wheel above. When they finally stood at its base, the enormity of it struck them. Rust streaked the spokes like dried blood, but the wheel itself gleamed faintly under the moon, its rotation smooth and steady, as if greased not by oil but by time itself. Ben ran a hand along the controls. No power cables. No generator, nothing. Maybe underground wiring? Rosa suggested weakly. "Then why is it still running after 40 years?" Emily said. Her voice trembled despite her effort to sound logical. The gondolas swayed gently as if beckoning. One creaked open, its door hanging loose. Logan grinned at the camera. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to do the impossible." "Logan," Emily started, but he was already climbing inside. The metal bench groaned under his weight. "Come on, guys, this is once in a lifetime." Ben chuckled, more to mask his nerves than amusement, and climbed in beside him. Rosa and Emily followed reluctantly. 4 friends, 1 gondola, swaying high above an empty carnival. Logan set the camera to record. the wheel groaned louder as if sensing them. Then, without warning, it shuddered and began to turn faster. Is it supposed to do that?" Rosa whispered. "Relax," Logan said, but his grin faltered. The wheel no longer creaked lazily. It moved with purpose. Each rotation sped up slightly, carrying them higher, the carnival shrinking below. Emily clutched the bar. "It's too fast. It's not supposed to move this fast." The midway blurred beneath them. Tents, booths, rides all seemed to dissolve into shadow. Logan blinked and realized the colors were fading. The red stripes of the tents turned gray, then black. The ticket booth sagged further, its wood collapsing into dust. "Guys," Ben said slowly, "look at the town." Beyond the carnival stretched Silver Creek, the small desert town they'd driven through. But it was changing. Lights in the windows winked out. Cars rusted before their eyes, chrome melting into powder. Roads cracked, weeds erupting through pavement. Emily's breath came in gasps. "We're not moving through space, we're moving through time." The wheel creaked higher, faster, its gondolas rattling. The desert below shifted, houses rotted, then vanished, leaving only outlines in the sand. Telephone poles collapsed. The sky darkened, stars rearranging themselves into constellations none of them recognized. The wheel slowed. Their gondola rocked violently before stopping at the top. Silence pressed heavy, so complete it rang in their ears. The desert stretched endlessly, but Silver Creek was gone. In its place stood something else, the carnival. But not the one they'd entered. This one was alive. Lights blazed from every ride. Music drifted from the carousel, cheerful and warped, calliope notes too sharp. The midway was crowded with figures, dozens, maybe hundreds, moving between booths and games. At first, Logan thought they were people. Then he saw their faces, too long, too pale, too smooth. Their eyes were wide black voids, their smiles stretched ear to ear like painted masks. They drifted like puppets, jerky, limbs twitching in unnatural rhythm. Emily whimpered. Rosa gripped her hand so hard her knuckles turned white. Ben whispered, "They're waiting for us." Below, the Ferris wheel's operator's booth glowed faintly. A figure stood there, tall and stiff, with no face at all. It lifted a hand, beckoning. The wheel groaned and began to descend, and the crowd looked up. Hundreds of black eyes fixed on the gondola, watching, waiting, smiling. The gondola shuddered as the wheel began its descent, creaking louder with every rotation. Logan's camera, still mounted on the seat rail, captured everything, the glowing carnival below, the pale crowd swarming toward the base of the ride, their faces stretched into grotesque parodies of joy. "Don't stop here," Emily whispered, clutching Rosa's hand. "Please don't stop here." The Ferris wheel didn't listen. It carried them down, slowly, inevitably, until their gondola reached the ground. The operator's booth door creaked open, though no one had touched it. The faceless figure stood just outside, impossibly tall, its suit coated in dust and age. Its hand remained lifted, beckoning them forward. The gondola door swung open by itself. No way. Ben shoved against the door, trying to hold it shut, but the hinges screeched, resisting him. The air grew thick, heavy, pressing down on their lungs. It felt like the carnival itself was breathing, drawing them in. Logan, pale but still holding the camera like it was a shield, whispered, "If we don't get out, it'll drag us out." Emily's eyes welled with tears. "Then we don't get out. We stay inside. We wait." But the gondola floor vibrated beneath them, as if alive. Metal groaned and bent. A bolt snapped, sharp and final, and suddenly the entire seat tilted forward, spilling them out onto the cracked asphalt. They landed hard, groaning in pain. The air outside was wrong too sweet, like rotting sugar, and thick with carnival music that seemed to bleed from every shadow. The faceless operator tilted its head at them. Then it stepped aside, giving them a clear view of the midway. The crowd parted. Hundreds of smooth-faced figures moved in jerky unison, opening a path between game stalls. They wanted the four explorers to walk forward. Ben muttered, "Like hell." He grabbed Emily's hand and turned back toward the Ferris wheel. But the gondola they'd fallen from was gone. The entire ride loomed above them. Yes, but every gondola now hung empty, doors clanging against metal. The operator raised its hand again, palm out. The Ferris wheel screeched in protest, spinning violently for one rotation before freezing solid. Not even the wind stirred it. "They don't want us going back," Rosa said, her voice trembling. "They want us inside?" Logan swallowed hard, raising the camera to his face. The lens shook in his hands, but he forced his voice steady. "If anyone ever sees this footage, Silver Creek isn't abandoned. It's here, it's waiting." And something shrieked behind him. They spun around. The prize booth nearest them had come alive. A wall of stuffed animals twitched, heads jerking, button eyes rolling like marbles. The dolls stretched long limbs of fabric and stuffing, crawling over the counters, reaching for them with grasping claws of sewn cotton. "Go!" Logan shouted. They ran. The crowd didn't move, only watched, heads turning in perfect unison as the four friends bolted down the midway. Lights above blazed brighter, strings of bulbs sizzling overhead. The smell of popcorn and burnt sugar grew suffocating. They passed the carousel and stopped. It was spinning, horses gleaming with fresh paint, but the riders weren't children. They were corpses, half decayed, dressed in faded carnival clothes, their mouths wide open in silent screams as the horses carried them around and around. The organ music shrieked off key, every note stabbing into their ears. Emily gagged, tears streaking her face. "We can't stay here. We have to find an exit." Then pointed toward the far end of the carnival, where a massive red and white striped tent loomed. "There, maybe there's another way out." They sprinted, passing stalls where the games had reset themselves. The ring toss had bottles filled with liquid that moved like writhing worms. The shooting gallery's targets blinked and begged not to be hit. Every booth was alive, watching, waiting. The crowd didn't chase them, but as they ran, the faceless operator stepped into their path again. No matter which direction they turned, he was already there, standing silently, pointing toward the tent. "They're hurting us," Rosa realized, breathless. Like cattle, the tent's flap opened by itself as they approached. Warm, humid air rolled out, thick with the stench of sweat and decay. Inside, rows of seats circle the ring. The stands were filled, not with people, but with things that only imitated them. Faceless figures sat perfectly still, their heads all turning in unison as the explorers stumbled inside. The flap slammed shut behind them. In the center of the ring, a spotlight flickered to life, illuminating a raised platform. On it sat a Ferris wheel no taller than a man, a perfect miniature of the one outside. Its gondolas creaked as it turned slowly. Emily's voice broke. "I want to go home. Please, I want to go home." The crowd in the stands began to clap, not loud, not human. The sound was damp, like hands made of wet cloth striking together. The noise built into a rhythm, faster, faster. Then the miniature Ferris wheel stopped. A single gondola door creaked open. From it stepped something small, at first child-sized, almost human. It crawled into the spotlight, limbs bending the wrong way, head twitching. Its face was blank, pale, until the skin rippled and reformed into Emily's face. Emily screamed. The creature opened its mouth, but the sound that came out wasn't hers. It was laughter, jagged, broken laughter that filled the tent. Logan dropped the camera, and every gondola on the miniature Ferris wheel opened at once. Figures began to crawl out. The creatures spilled from the miniature Ferris wheel like ants from a nest. First one, then two, then a dozen. Their limbs cracked as they unfolded, jerky but deliberate, skin rippling as it molded itself into stolen faces. Rosa gasped as one of them rose up taller than the rest, its flesh bubbling until it wore her features. It turned toward her with a slack-jawed grin, eyes black pits where hers should have been. Emily clutched Logan's arm. "They're us. They're all copies," Ben finished, his voice strangled. The crowd in the stands clapped harder, the wet rhythm filling the tent like a storm of rotten applause. The copies shambled closer, twitching, until they moved in uncanny mimicry mirroring the real four with staggering precision. One Logan copy bent down and picked up his dropped camera. It raised the lens, tilted its head, and pressed record. "We have to get out of here," Rosa screamed. They ran. The tent flap wouldn't budge. They clawed at it, tugged, but the canvas was solid as stone. Behind them, the doppelgangers crept closer, their jerking movements synchronizing until they moved smoothly. Too smoothly, faces stretched into grotesque mockeries of their own. Emily sobbed. "We're trapped." Ben grabbed a metal folding chair from the stands and swung it at the nearest creature. The blow connected with a sickening crack. The copy staggered, head bent backward at an impossible angle, and then it straightened, bones snapping back into place, grin wider than before. "Not good," Ben panted. "Not good at all." Logan's eyes darted wildly around the ring. Spotlights hung overhead, swaying, above those rigging. He seized a length of rope and yanked it down, pulling a sandbag loose. It fell and crushed one of the creatures, splattering it into a pool of pale sludge. The audience erupted into frenzied clapping, faster, louder, their featureless heads bobbing in excitement. "They like this," Rosa said, horrified. "We're entertainment." Emily's knees buckled. "We're the show." The copies lunged as one. The four scrambled up the bleachers, knocking over chairs. Their pursuers clawed after them, fingers too long, joints bending in all the wrong places. Logan swung another sandbag free, dropping it on the crowd below. It burst like rotten fruit, splattering the floor. "Keep moving," Logan shouted. They tore through the upper bleachers, looking for an exit. Behind them, the audience of faceless figures rose in unison, standing for the first time. Hundreds of them, every movement synchronized, as though the entire carnival breathed through one lung. Rosa spotted a thin sliver of moonlight near the top of the tent, a tear in the canvas. There! They climbed, scrambling over wooden supports. Emily sliced her palm on a nail, but didn't stop. Ben boosted Rosa up first, shoving her through the tier. She gasped as the desert night hit her face cool, dry, almost normal. One by one, they pulled themselves through, collapsing onto sand outside. The night sky was alien, constellations twisted into spirals, but at least it was outside. They staggered to their feet, gasping for breath. The carnival sprawled before them, glowing brighter than ever, every light blazing. Music screeched from every ride, a cacophony of carousel organs and warped calliopes. "Where do we go?" Emily cried. "There has to be a way out," Ben shouted. Logan pointed. Beyond the carnival's edge, where they'd first entered, stood the highway. Asphalt stretched into the distance. Their SUV sat waiting. They ran. The midway warped around them as they sprinted. Booths stretched taller, banners shifted language, letters rearranging into squiggles that hurt their eyes. The roller coaster ahead bent and twisted, its tracks writhing like snakes. "Keep your eyes down," Rosa yelled. "Just run." They bolted past the carousel. This time the horses weren't wooden. Their skin glistened wet, muscles twitching as they galloped in place. Riders turned their heads as the group passed, no longer corpses, but hollow shells, their mouths wide, howling with laughter. Ben gagged but kept running. Almost there. The Ferris wheel loomed ahead, taller than before, its rotation faster now, shrieking against the night. Its gondolas opened and slammed shut, metal jaws clanging. They reached the edge of the carnival grounds. The sand shifted under their feet, sliding, pulling them back. The highway rippled like heat waves, stretching farther away with every step. "No," Emily screamed, clawing at the ground. "We're so close." Rosa stumbled, her ankle twisting. Logan grabbed her arm, hauling her up, but the sand beneath them quivered like water. From its depths, pale hands burst forth, hundreds of them, grabbing ankles, wrists, legs. The faceless crowd had followed. They were rising from the desert itself. Ben stomped on the grasping hands, but they multiplied, dragging him down. "Help me," he shrieked, thrashing. Emily grabbed him, pulling with all her strength, but the sand swallowed him to the waist. No, 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 no," she screamed. Ben's face twisted with terror, then softened. His eyes rolled back, his mouth split into a grin. When he looked at her again, it wasn't Ben anymore. "Come ride," he said in a voice not his own. His skin melted pale, his features smoothed. Emily let go with a sob. Ben was gone. The hands released her. She stumbled back into Logan and Rosa. Together, they fled again, away from the writhing sand, deeper into the carnival. The midway pulsed like veins, lights flickering in sync with their racing heartbeats. The Ferris wheel screamed, spinning faster and faster, as if laughing at their struggle. They collapsed near the base of the ride. The operator stood there, waiting. Still faceless, still silent, but this time holding something out to them. A ticket. Logan's voice cracked. "No." The operator dropped the ticket into Emily's hand. It burned her skin, leaving a mark that glowed faintly like ink. The ticket read, "Admit one, show never ends." The Ferris wheel groaned above them, gondolas slamming open one by one. The ride wanted them back. The Ferris wheel howled like a living thing, metal screaming as it spun. Each gondola slammed open and shut, like jaws gnashing in the night. The faceless operator stood motionless, still offering that single glowing ticket in Emily's trembling hand. Rosa stared at the burn seared across Emily's palm. "It marked you," she whispered. "I don't want it," Emily cried, trying to fling the paper away. But the ticket clung to her skin, melting into it like hot wax. The words "show never ends" burned brighter until they pulsed with her heartbeat. Logan gripped her shoulders. "We can't play their game. We don't have to." But the carnival didn't agree. The midway rippled, lights stuttering. The rides around them roared to life, the roller coaster cars shrieking around warped tracks, the carousel horses breaking free, galloping into the sand with hollow riders clinging to their necks. The crowd surged from the shadows, faceless, endless, their wet hands slapping together in applause that shook the ground. "We run," Rosa said. "Now, we find another way. We don't stop." They sprinted along the midway, weaving between grotesque rides. The air grew thicker, sugar-sweet and choking. Every booth they passed opened its mouth wider because they weren't booths anymore. The game stalls had teeth. The shooting gallery's wooden targets leaned forward, whispering names. The ring-toss bottles shattered, spilling black worms that writhed toward their feet. "Don't look, just move," Logan shouted. They stumbled past, but the path twisted, folding in on itself. Every turn brought them back toward the Ferris wheel. It loomed above, impossibly tall, its peak scraping the stars. "No matter where we run." Rosa gasped. "We're already inside it." Emily collapsed to her knees, clutching her burned palm. "I can feel it. It wants me on that ride." Logan tried to pull her up. "We're not giving it what it wants." The ground split. Sand gaped open beneath Emily, revealing gears grinding, metal teeth churning. She screamed as the earth dragged her downward, but Logan and Rosa caught her arms, hauling with every ounce of strength. The faceless crowd advanced, closing in. Their featureless heads tilted at once, perfectly synchronized, as if savoring the spectacle. The Ferris wheel shrieked, gondolas rattling. The ticket burn on Emily's hand flared until her skin blistered. She sobbed, I can't fight it. And then Logan made a choice. He shoved Emily backward into Rosa's arms. Get her out. I'll stop this. No, Rosa cried, grabbing his sleeve. But Logan tore free and ran straight at the operator. His camera, still hanging around his neck, swung wildly as he tackled the thing. They crashed against the booth, and for the first time, the faceless man moved. Its limbs uncoiled like ropes, stretching twice the length of Logan's body, wrapping around him in a crushing embrace. The crowd erupted into thunderous, dripping applause. Logan, Emily screamed, struggling against Rosa's grip. But Logan wasn't fighting to escape. He ripped the camera from his neck and jammed it against the operator's chest. With his free hand, he clawed at the record button, his voice a desperate rasp. If anyone finds this, don't write it, don't let it take you. The operator's arms tightened, bones snapped. The camera fell, still recording, as Logan was pulled into the man's chest. His body sank through the faceless surface like clay being swallowed. Then he was gone. The crowd cheered. The Ferris wheel groaned. Gondolas swung open. Rosa grabbed Emily's hand, dragging her back. We can't stay. We have to go. Emily was sobbing, her voice broken. It has him. It has Ben. It'll take us too. But Rosa's eyes darted to the edge of the carnival. For just a moment, through the haze of warped rides and howling lights, she saw something desert highway. Black asphalt stretching into the night. Their SUV. Look, she shouted. There's still a way. They ran, forcing their legs to move through the thickening air. The carnival twisted around them, tents rising, rides shifting, but the highway remained, flickering like a mirage. The Ferris wheel wailed behind them, its shadow stretching across the sand. Gondolas ripped free from their hinges and crashed to the ground like fallen bombs. Splitting open to release pale figures that crawled toward them, the women reached the highway's edge. Emily's burned hand blazed so bright it lit the night like a torch. She screamed in agony, but the SUV was right there. They lunged for it. Rosa yanked the passenger door open and shoved Emily inside. She scrambled into the driver's seat, twisting the key left in the ignition. For one breathless second, the engine coughed. Then roared to life. Behind them, the carnival howled. The Ferris wheel spun so fast it blurred, lights flickering like lightning. The faceless crowd shrieked, a single monstrous voice. Rosa slammed her foot down. The SUV tore forward onto the blacktop, tires spitting sand. They didn't look back until the town was gone, swallowed by desert night. Only then did Emily raise her burned hand. The words were still there, seared into her skin. Show never ends. Her breath hitched. Rosa, we didn't escape. The radio crackled. A carnival barker's voice spilled from the speakers, cheerful and booming. Step right up, folks. The wheel keeps turning. The show must go on. Emily screamed and reached to shut it off, but the dial spun on its own. Every station played the same thing, carnival music. And faintly, beneath the static, came Logan's voice. Don't write it. The SUV headlights cut across the desert, endless asphalt stretching forward. But behind them, no matter how far they drove, the Ferris wheel was still on the horizon, always turning, always waiting.